Hello, everybody. It's Peter. Peter with an I, S-T-A-W-A-R-T. And welcome to segment 45 of...
I don't know, the Dark Tower, I guess?
Opened, it would be by a hair. The last 5 seconds counted down as the dentist turned the corner, out of sight. When the counter came to 0000, the bell rang with a ding, and the door opened. The dentist heard the ding and strode back into the room, angry and vengeful, with a look on his face that suggested he was capable of anything. He tried to pull the lid up to shock Joe, but the hydraulics were slow and couldn't be made to rise quicker than they were designed to. Joe squirmed around like a fly who had found shelter from the swatter in the nook of a sliding glass window. The dentist furiously tried to push the paddle in. Joe couldn't try to push it away. It was the ultimate hot potato. Electrified pulmonary paddles would be great to play tag with. Just before the door lifted enough to allow the paddle to be shoved in sideways, things around the room started moving as if the building had been turned on its side. Nancy left the door to the MRI machine open while she turned it on full blast. The rolling trays were the first to be sucked over. The large, bulky machine that goes bing rolled over and threatened to fall and crush the dentist if he didn't get out of the way. The light fixtures were pulled loose, causing sparks to shower down on them. As the wiring popped and the sprinklers came on, Nancy and Joe ran out. The dentist would have pursued, but his path was blocked by a hanging electrical wire. Drawn by the pull of the MRI, the sparking wire hung in the air, floating around like a menacing cobra. The dentist, who was getting wet from the sprinklers, would have tried to pass if he thought he could use the paddles on himself to restart his own heart after he got electrocuted. He imagined not only getting a shock, but also getting locked up and having the process prolonged. When people get locked up and all the muscles in their bodies contract and they can't move while they're suffering a high-intensity shock, technicians who work around electricity are instructed to hit the person with a 2x4. Every so often, tragedy strikes when a confused technician with a very big body and a hell of a swing tries to whack somebody away, but doesn't think to aim for their torso, and the victim comes in looking like security guard Lewis's cardboard cutout. The dentist knew that with his luck, the security guards would probably charge in, see that he was locked up, and try to break him free by shooting him with a gun!
Roger breaker, come on in.
Chapter 44. The walkie-talkie on the security guard's belt burst with the sound of static. Come again? Requested the security guard. He listened to the message given in security guard lingo.
Roger, we got an MP3 CDR on level 36.
I have to go, he told the coroner and the intern before hurrying in the direction of the nearest elevator to ride up to floor number 36, where the burglars were being apprehended. The coroner and the intern were left to continue their work, assured that there was nobody besides them in the morgue. The corpse they were working on had gotten bloated. Extremely bloated. The corpse looked like he was pregnant with a teenage ape. Is this normal? Asked the intern. Gas buildup is natural, he replied, pulling out what looked like the long, thin rod used in automobile emissions tests. He slowly inserted the rod into the patient's tailpipe. The coroner had seen many strange phenomena during his 30 years working with bodies. They'll twitch, they'll moan, they'll roll. The coroner wouldn't be surprised if he walked in and found one of them doing the Charleston, but he never expected anything like this. "Is this supposed to do that?" asked the intern. The coroner looked on with a disturbed expression on his face as the brass rod disappeared into the dead body and stopped after sucking in with it a few inches of rubber tubing, which was connected to a large vacuum machine, whose function was to suck in and filter flatus. It would be just as effective to allow the flatus to be admitted freely into the air, but the odor of deceased people's flatus is particularly rancid, and many more times overpowering than even the worst rotten onion nacho farts. The two of them looked on as the rubber tube was sucked into the body like a long spaghetti noodle. The dead anus seemed to be alive as the heavy vacuum pump was pulled toward the steel table. When the intern started to ask if this was normal, he saw that the coroner had ran out, hinting the occurrence was indeed extremely abnormal. The rubber tube was pulled free from the machine and was eaten. The intern didn't know what to make of it. He knelt down for a closer study. He pulled the folds of fat apart. Frank's fist launched forth and punched him out. Chapter 45. As the security guards raced out of the elevator on the 36th floor, two demons stepped around the corner and took their place, pushed the button, and merrily rode down towards the lobby. They kept their masks on because they knew that the surveillance cameras were still focused on them, and it appeared as though they were home free. The security guard that had come up from the morgue was waiting in front of the elevator doors, with the intern who claimed he was punched in the face by a dried-up raisin. When the elevator stopped and the doors floated open, two demons dashed out and ran past them. The security guard was startled and confused at first, but then he was quick to remember the latex mask from the morgue. He told the intern to follow. The intern was an intern, so he did what he was told. Nancy and Joe ran out through the front doors and out along the Cyclone Gallery. It took valuable seconds for her to open the padlock at the end, but Nancy bought those seconds right back when she snapped it shut, so the security guard would take just as much time to find his key and reopen it. The security guard saw that their scary faces were really latex masks, which made the pursuit even more thrilling than if it was just any intruder, because he knew that the mystery surrounding the brownstone and all the accounts of ghostly goings-on could be solved that night by unmasking the culprits. The protective shelter could be removed, and the people who worked later than dusk would no longer have to fear the night. Nancy and Joe ran over the hill, jumped in their car, and sped out, shooting rocks and gravel everywhere. Their pursuers came to a walk under the street lamp, breathing heavily. There was no way they could catch them as they drove off into the night. "I guess we lost them," said the intern, hunching over and resting his hands on his knees. The security guard hooted. True, they lost him, but he wouldn't be going back empty-handed. He would go back and dispel the rumors and put an end to all the superstitious folklore. When he turned, the intern saw the guard's expression go flat.